What's up, BoobTube? Josh here today, working on the RX-7. So Aaron's first outing on track is going to be here the next few weeks, and she was originally going to drive one of my buddy's cars, but since he's not going to be able to make it, we're going to take the RX-7, and so that entails me replacing the rear brakes, because I've pretty much replaced everything on this car except for the rear discs. So I've replaced the pads, but I haven't ever replaced the discs, and you can tell. So I'm gonna go ahead and today and cover replacing the discs and the pads, and maybe take it around the block to break the bad boys in. And I've also got to swap my seat out because she can't reach the pedals with that seat in there. I might pull the seat out and adjust it forward so that she fits in it, because honestly that's a much better seat than the factory seat, and this car is fast enough to where the factory seat you end up having to support yourself with your legs in the car up against the door card and the transmission tunnel to keep from sliding back and forth in the seat. And that'd be a lot easier than, dealing with taking apart my sim rig that I built with the spare seat and putting it back in the car. So, but anyways, let's go ahead and get started, and hopefully this goes easy. Last time I had the back end apart, a lot of the brake parts were froze, so oh well. Alright, first things first, got to get the pad, the actual caliper itself apart. So it's 12 mil on the bottom. These are GSL-SE brakes, and it's just a pin on top. And remember, it's always backwards if the bolt's facing away from you. So it's going to be righty loosey, lefty tighty. So let me go ahead and break this bad boy free, and then it'll be pull the pads and everything apart, and hopefully this pin isn't seized up in there. It feels like you can see it squeeze, so it looks like it's still free. So let me go ahead and get that apart. Alright, so as you can see, got the caliper off the disc. I forgot to mention that you have to remove this, which is your handbrake cable, and it's easier to remove the bolt, which is a 14 right here. It's easier to remove that and then pull the end of the cable out of the slot, which is let's see if we can see it. Where is it? Oh, I've got it hanging from it, which is that bad boy. So, and it's the reverse order putting it back together. It's easier to stick it in that and then line the holes up and throw the bolt through it than it is to bolt it back together and then line it up. So now that we've got the calipers off, I'm gonna clean the. This is what usually is seized on most people. As you can tell, it's trying to do that even now, and we greased it really well. So I'm going to clean this up, and you have Mazda on their handbrakes. This twists in, so you can't force this back in. You have to twist it in. The easiest way to do it is take some vice grips, grab it, lock it, and then just turn and push at the same time. And you're going to want to make sure that your cap is off on your brake reservoir, or you'll kind of push against it as well. Mine's really full, so I'm gonna have to go throw a paper towel on it. But other than that, Scotch-Brite this bad boy up, twist that back in, and then we'll get to taking the actual disc off. Alright, here we go. Alright, another thing to look at is when you pull your old pads off, which as you can tell these are hardly even used. This is a good way to inspect to see if they're wearing evenly, and if they're not, then you know that either the caliper's not floating correctly or you're dragging a brake because the rotor is warped, which is my situation. So this is the pad. This is the pad that was on the outside, and as you can see, it's still got most of its groove. And this is the pad that was on the inside. As you can see, the groove is almost completely worn off. So this is a good indication that the caliper wasn't moving very freely. So it definitely needs to be lubed and checked over. All right, so let's go ahead and get this turned in. Let's see here. So you grab it like that, and make sure your crescent is loose enough. And this is just like a normal bolt, righty tighty, lefty loosey. You know, same old song, same old story. All right, and then you just push and twist. I'm gonna need both hands to do this, I'm sure. All right. So that's twisted back in. It should be pretty much flush. It'll turn until it won't turn no more, or it won't back in anymore. I can't quite remember if it actually stops or if it actually continues to spin. It's close enough now to where I'm not worried about trying to get it any further. So next is pulling the actual caliper bracket off, which is a couple of 14s. One there, and one right here. So let me go ahead and whack those off, and then we'll talk about getting this bad boy off. All right, here we go. All right, so the bracket's off. Pretty self-explanatory. A couple bolts comes right off. Probably am going to replace all of the hardware on it, since it looks kind of rough, and the new discs or the new pad should come with it. So next is actually removing this thing, and there's this nifty tool that you can buy that is knocks screws loose. So if you tried to take this with a normal screwdriver out, these would probably strip, but this thing uses the impact of actually pushing the screw in, while also turning the screw. So if you like push on it, you can see that it's got like a spring action to it, but when you have it held one direction or the other, it turns the screw in that direction. So if you take a pop shot on it, which I can't do this with one hand, it'll knock that screw loose instead of fighting for hours trying to break a couple screws loose that could possibly strip. So let me go ahead and knock them out. And the disc comes off. So like I said, a couple screws, and if your disc is hung on there, you can hit it with a hammer and then wiggle it, and hit it with a hammer and wiggle it, and it'll eventually come loose off the hub itself. So she is now ready for the new disc, and I'm going to get that all set up and throw it on here and clean up everything and get it ready to go together. It looks like I might be leaking a little, might have a rear end seal that's dying, but that's not nothing I'm going to worry about right now, because you know, it's a old car and they're easy to fill up, so might as well just keep on trucking. All right, I'm gonna throw the new disc on, and then yeah, go from there. All right, before you go any further, you're gonna want to take some brake parts cleaner and clean the discs. The discs come oiled so that they don't rust while they sit and wait for you to buy them from the store. And if you don't remove that oil, it can obviously cause your brakes not to work. So be sure to spray them, wipe them down. It doesn't take, you don't have to sit there and scrub them or anything like that. Just spray it and wipe it and be good. All right, so I got the new hardware on. As you can see, it's got the grease that comes with the pads already applied so that they slide freely in and out on the hardware. And now it's just plucking the new pads in there and buttoning everything back up. Be sure to grease this pin really, really well. I'm going to actually grease it in, put a lot of grease on it, and also put some grease in the actual boot. This boot doesn't actually look too bad, so I'm not going to replace it. So yeah, let's get that going, and then I'll show you the finished product. Alrighty. All right, back together. Got the pads and the caliper and the bracket back on. Got the disc on and clean. Blew a thumb out, or busted a thumb out, and also got the bracket back together. So here's a good shot of the bracket, so you can see kind of what it looks, or the handbrake assembly, I should say. That way you have an idea of what it looks like. But yeah, so that's one side. I got to go do the other side, and it'll take me probably half the amount of time since I won't be recording, but that's neither here nor there. So until next time, guys, happy wrapping.